Ladies and gentlemen, this opioid plague has been going on now for 20 straight years. Absolutely the longest running drug addiction in American history. This has long surpassed the crack epidemic, which was devastating on the Black community. And it's something we had a very hard time bouncing back, but nevertheless, we have gotten beyond it. But they can't seem to get beyond this opioid plague that's in the works. And despite the fact that Trump tried to claim that he reduced the amount of opioid addiction, it is false. And everything is still going strong out here. And they know it. So this came out in Vox November 1st, 2019. White House, the opioid plague cost 2.5 trillion over 4 years. See, this is why Trump did not want to make this a national emergency, because it would have usurped so much money and it's not resolving the addiction out here at all. So the opioid plague is seriously hurting the US economy. And yes, it is, because now you got all of these addicts out here that are not productive, not generating any revenue that's going out into the economy. And this is only going to get worse as each year rolls by. So look at his little sign. Heroin divided my family, not spelled correctly. See, that adult standing next to him should have fixed that for him or told him it was wrong. But letting it go is why we're looking at the cheating scandal today. But that's a whole different issue. Let's get back to the opioid plague. Cost the U.S. $696 billion in 2018 and more than 2.5 trillion from 2015 to 2018, according to a new estimate by the White House Council of Economic Advisors. The CEA last calculated the cost of the opioid plague in 2015, putting the price more than $500 billion. Using similar methodology, the agency calculated new numbers for the ensuing years. The CEA's estimates are multiple times larger than what some other studies found, in part because the death toll from the plague has grown in recent years. Wow. And they're right. They're right. And this is why, if you notice, they're trying to cover up how many people per day, and you get all these different numbers from 200 to 100 a day and all this stuff. So it's all bogus numbers, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot tell you the truth because they don't want you to see how bad this whole thing really is. Okay, and it is bad. It is really bad, and they know it. They know it. And the reason why this is killing the economy is, in large part, a lot of these are young people, and they are simultaneously dying out with the baby boomers. So it's creating a really bad situation for America. So the CEA estimates are multiple times larger than what some other study found, in part because of the death toll from the plague has grown in recent years, and in part because the agency is using a different methodology than other studies to try to include a broader social costs of premature death. For example, the 2016 study published in Medical Care estimates the total economic burden of prescription opioid overdose misuse and addiction at $78.5 billion in 2013, a 2017 report published. Okay, so what they're saying is 95 billion is what was spent in 2016, and more recently they're talking about 2018 Between 2015 and 2018, at least 631 billion was spent. And this is everything from research and healthcare and just the entire gamut of things that they thrown money into to try to cure this thing or make it go away. And we know it's not going away. It's not going away. The CEA has argued that these estimates greatly understate the costs by undervaluing the most important component of the loss, fatalities, resulting from overdoses. It said other estimates look at a narrow set of costs, such as healthcare expenses and lost potential earnings from work, instead of the full value of all activities people could contribute if they didn't die prematurely. It leveraged conventional estimates typically used. Get down here. Sorry about that. It leveraged conventional estimates typically used by other federal agencies to get a fuller picture of the impact of the premature deaths. Corey Ryan, a healthcare research analyst at Alterum, previously told me that neither the White House estimates nor his report estimates is necessarily more accurate, but that each is trying to get a different question. So, just going to go down a little more. Regardless, the cost is very high, ranging from tens of billions of dollars on the low end to hundreds of billions of dollars on the high end. This means even a large investment to address the opioid plague, say 100 billion, could prevent much more in costs down the line. Trump, his administration and Congress have increased funding for the opioid plague by the billions of dollars here and there. But their efforts so far fall short of the tens of billions that experts say is necessary to adequately boost addiction treatment and harm reduction. And see, you know what another thing is, y'all? These addicts don't want no damn rehabilitation. And that's part of the problem right there on why you're not seeing much of a decrease in the addiction. These folks would prefer to be high over going to any kind of rehab. So, more than 70,000 people died of drug overdoses in 2017, a record number, with around 2/3 of those deaths linked to opioids. Preliminary data suggests the death toll fell or remained relatively flat in 2018, but experts caution the preliminary data could be off. It could also be a temporary reprieve, as occurred in 2011 and 2012. The opioid plague can be understood in three waves. The first, in starting in the late 90s and early 2000s, doctors prescribed a lot of opioid painkillers that caused the drug to proliferate, to widespread misuse and addiction among not just patients, but also friends and families of patients, teens who took the drugs from their parents' medicine cabinet. You know, I never did that as a teen. My parents would be on certain medications off and on throughout my life, but I never said, wow, I'm going to go try my parents' drugs. I didn't do that. I didn't do those kind of things, but these teens, they would do that to their parents. And people who bought excess pills from the black market. A second wave of the drug overdose took off in 2000 when heroin flooded the illicit market. as drug dealers and traffickers took advantage of a new population of people who used opioids but had either lost access to painkillers or simply sought a better, cheaper high. In recent years, the US has seen a third wave as illicit fentanyl offers even more potent, cheaper, and deadlier alternative to heroin. That culminated in a crisis that has killed tens of thousands of people annually for years, a horrific loss of life, and as if that weren't enough, a loss with huge repercussions for the US economy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they still have no real true answer on how to end the addiction that's going on. That's why it's going strong even to this day. And with China flooding all of that fentanyl over here, and because of the trade war with Trump, they're not about to stop it. They weren't even stopping it before the trade war. So what makes you think they're going to stop it now? China don't give a damn about Americans dying from whatever drug they're shipping over here. In fact, they are trying to be the next superpower. They want to dominate and run the earth. Why would they back off of the drugs when they got a long history of using drugs as part of their warfare? I read about them using drugs to make China communist. There were parts of China that was communist and parts that were not. What they did was they drugged up the parts that weren't, got them so drugged up, went in there and invaded on them. Now the whole thing is communist. So them using drugs on the American people in order for themselves to potentially be the leaders of the earth, of course they're going to do it. They're greedy too. They're assholes too. They're oppressors too. Okay, they want the same things that they see the Americans have received in their domination. But we don't need any more dominations on this planet by Gentiles. We see the way it has gone. You can't even manage this drug addiction. You can't manage the earth either. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's a whole different subject matter. But please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.